Check, 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 check. Hi, I'm Jim Gray, and I'm a professional real estate agent and a professional real estate agent coach. And in the last 11 months, I've spoken to 537 agents. That's right, 537 agents. The topics of those conversations were mostly strategy sessions on how to grow a business, and these agents cover a pretty wide territory of stone cold beginners to people who are running small teams doing almost 100 units a year. Most of these agents were considering making a switch to a digital brokerage, and the topics of conversation revolved around would a digital environment serve that particular agent's ambitions for the way they wanted to grow their business. And so what I thought I would do is address the three main digital brokerages that we have to choose from right now today. The first is EXP. It is the biggest of the three. I happen to have my license hung there, so I'm fairly familiar with this brokerage, and I wanted to give you a 20,000-foot flyby on the main features and benefits of this brokerage. When considering any digital brokerage, any brokerage really in general, digital or traditional, there really are 5 elements that you want to get very clear on. The first is the comp plan. You really want to make sure that the comp plan serves whatever your personal growth plans are. That's number 1. Number 2 is you want to know what business tools you get, how they're put together, what you have to do, and what they cost. That's number 2. Number 3 is the training. You want to see what the training is, what's the breadth of the training, who does the training, and how do you consume the training. Very important. Number 4 is agent support. When it comes to a digital brokerage, this is a very hot topic of conversation. If there is no brick and mortar, how does an agent get the kind of support that they need to conduct their business? It's an important question. I'm going to touch on that here for EXP. And then finally, the company in general. What is the general perception in the marketplace of this particular company? So again, you can go much deeper on each of these points than I plan to go in the next 20 minutes, but my hope is that at the end of this short time together, you'll have a good working understanding of how EXP operates as a digital brokerage and whether that might make it an option for you. All right, so let's talk about the comp plan. It's pretty straightforward. It's an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. So the minute you contribute $16,000 to the company, your commission goes to 100%. Now there are transaction fees along the way. There is a $25 broker review fee. So for each transaction that you turn in, you'll be charged $25 for a broker review. Second is the risk management fee. This is essentially the E&O insurance. So for every transaction you turn in, you'll be charged a $40 risk management fee. That fee caps at $500. So when you do 12 transactions, that in a single year, that transaction fee will disappear. After you cap and your commissions go to 100%, you will be assessed a $250 post-cap transaction fee, and you should know that once you hit $5,000 in post-cap transaction fees, were you to hit it, and that's about 20 transactions, that fee will reduce to $75 per transaction. And then finally, there is a flat monthly fee of $85 each and every month, whether or not you have a closing. That is what is called the cloud brokerage fee. That fee generally covers the CRM, which is supplied to you, a full tech stack of websites, which is supplied to you, your SkySlope transactional management platform, again, supplied to you, what EXP calls its enterprise dashboard, EXP World, and then, of course, the full breadth of training. So here's the thing about fees. People get really wound around the axle of fees, and I'm not saying they're not important, but what I want to stress is whenever you're considering fees, you really have to think of the fee in the context of your total production, right? So You can be at 100% brokerage, but if you don't do any transactions, 100% of nothing is nothing, right? Or you can be on a 50-50 split, but if you're making 150 grand a year net, that is probably better if you had to pick, right? All right, so I am going to run a scenario. All right, actually, my little PowerPoint here. Let's run a scenario. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's make a couple of assumptions here. Let's say the average home sale in your area is around $250,000. Let's say that your average commission is around 3%, okay? So let's say you sold 18 houses and your average gross commission is $7,500, okay? So what that means is 18 times 7,500 is $135,000, okay? So that's what this little table here calculates. Now, let's come over here to the right, this table here. So here's your 18 deals, which you did over 12 months. You grossed $135,000. With EXP, it's an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. In this scenario, you capped, okay? All right, so there's the $16,000 that you paid to EXP. You also paid per transaction $25 for the broker to review it, and you paid $40 per transaction for your E&O insurance. Now, I want you to notice something here. That capped out at $500. If you were to have been charged $40 for all the transactions, you would have been charged $720. But the company at EXP caps you at $500. You with me? Now, in this scenario, you capped and you had 7 extra transactions after you capped. So here's the 250 times 7. Now, these numbers aren't exact because there's some rounding errors in here, but it's pretty close, okay? And again, we're looking at a 12-month period. So this assumes that we're now looking back over 12 months. You sold 18 houses, you grossed $135,000, you contributed $16,000 to EXP on the split, you paid $450 for transaction fees, you paid $500 for your risk management fee, you paid $1,800 in your post-cap transaction fees, and then you paid $85 a month for your monthly cloud brokerage fee. So if you were to add up all these fees, okay, they would come to $19,811. Okay, so you grossed 135, you paid out 19,000 and change, and you netted 117,000. Or the brokerage cost you 13%, right? So in this case, you get to keep 87 cents of every dollar, or it's the same as being on an 87-13 split. You follow me? So this is where I tell agents, don't necessarily be afraid of fees. I mean, it costs money to do business, right? And the key just simply becomes is looking at the fees in context of a production scenario. All right, so I want to walk you through something here, though. So let's just say you do 12 deals, right? So watch these numbers. Watch your net profit. Watch your broker cost. Remember, you're on a capping model here. So on 12 deals, you're going to gross 90. You're going to net 72, and the brokerage costs you 20%. With all the fees in, it's still an 80-20 split. It's still pretty good, right? Now watch it again. Let's say you did 18. Boom, you see you grossed 135, you netted 117, the brokerage only costs you 13%, you're keeping 87%. Now let's say, though, you get to 2 deals a month, which is 24. This is where you're going to see the power of the cap. Look at that. You gross 180, you net out about 162, and now you're keeping 90%. And as your production rises, your costs go down. So whether or not you're at a digital brokerage or a traditional brokerage, I would just simply say that a capping model is typically the most advantageous for an agent. So at EXP, they do have a capping model. I'll leave you with this. Just for fun, let's say you do 36 transactions. That's 3 a month. Anybody can do that. I did 57 my first year. Woohoo! Right? Watch this. Bang. All right? Now I'm going to show you something. You did 36, you grossed out at 270, okay? EXP, all the fees in, cost you about $24,000. You netted out about 252, and you got to keep 93 cents of every dollar that you put in. Pretty sweet, right? Here's something else to look at. When you hit about $5,000 in post-cap transaction fees, EXP considers you an icon agent, and they return that $16,000 to you in the form of company stock. Okay, so that's really, really important. So it gives you something to strive for. All right, so this is the scenario of EXP with all the fees in. It's a pretty strong comp plan, I think, when you take it all together. Okay, so let's continue on. So the second part of the EXP comp plan is rev share. Now I want you to think about something, okay? I'm going to guess if you're watching this video, it is likely your plan is you're going to be practicing real estate, Lord willing, for the next 10, 15, or 20 years. That's a long time. And in that time, you are going to be interacting with lots and lots and lots of real estate agents. And there's something you should know. If you ever became a real estate broker, if you ever owned your own brokerage, the most valuable thing to you as a broker is good producing real estate agents. A good real estate agent that produces for a broker over time can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I want you to think about something. If you're out there being a great agent, chatting with agents, and they asked you, hey, what do you think of EXP? Or any agency that had a rev share program, and you said, oh, I like my brokerage, you should check it out. What if they checked it out and joined? You just gave a very valuable gift to your broker. And I would suggest to you that the way a broker should say thank you is to give you a share of whatever that agent produces. So it's not that you have to be all about recruiting or that's all you think about. The thing that I guess I want to impress on you is every time you do a transaction, there'll be an agent on the other side of that deal. It's likely from time to time you're going to be talking to agents. They're going to ask you what you think of your broker. You're going to tell them. They're going to join. And why shouldn't you get a little piece of that production? By the way, that agent you bring on may do the same thing, and so on and so on and so on. One of the benefits of any digital brokerage is because that brokerage has no brick and mortar to pay for, they have a far thicker profit margin to play with. And a smart digital brokerage is taking that and redistributing it back to the agents that help the broker build the company. So that's the case with EXP. All right. So what you're looking at here is EXP's multi-level compensation plan for agents who invite agents to join the company. Okay, it goes 7 levels deep, and it depends on where an agent would fall in your in your network. That would dictate what you would get paid. So just to give you an idea, okay, any agent that you sponsored in, anything that they produced, right, you would get 3.5% of that agent's growth, of what the agent contributes to the company. Okay, so just as an idea, as an example, if you took the $16,000, right, that would mean that agent produced $80,000 in GCI for the company. $80,000 times 0.035 is $2,800. So you can earn up to $2,800 for every agent that's on your level 1. So if you invited 5 agents that joined the company and they all capped $2,800 times 5 agents is $14,000, right? So you could earn $14,000 each year that those agents capped for as long as they stayed at the company. And then if those agents introduced other agents that joined the company on your level 2, you could get paid 3.8% of your level 2 agents up to $3,000, and so on. And you can see the levels here, right? So 2.5% 1.4%, 0.09%, 2%, and then 4.5%. So the thing to just know here is you can get paid down to 7 levels deep. So an agent that you invite someone, who invites someone, who invites someone, who invites someone, and so on down to 7 levels, you could potentially get paid on all of that. The reason that EXP has sort of designed it like an hourglass, if you notice, the bigger percentages are towards the top. It gets skinny in the middle, and then it widens out at the bottom again. This model is built for agents so that if they were to stay a long time, the largest part of your downline will grow at levels 5, 6, and 7. So you'll put a number of people in at the top, right? Those people will invite people, they'll do whatever they'll do, but over time, your network can grow quite large, so EXP wanted to incentivize people to stay around to give you time for your network to grow. So the thing I guess you want to just consider is, doesn't it make sense to make money today on your buy and sell commissions, but then as you go and introduce agents, they come in and they produce, and over time your network grows and your rev share checks monthly grow incrementally larger and larger and larger, so that over time the theory is your rev share potentially could rival or exceed your commissions, and at that blessed moment you could retire. So the thing to think about is, would you like to retire, and does this sort of approach make sense, and does it serve you? Here's the other thing. Listen, if you're at a brokerage where you don't have this possibility, while you might like the broker, the question is it the best thing to do for you, given the likelihood that at some point in the future you may want to have the choice to not have to go on listing appointments or work with buyers, okay? So buy and sell commissions, rev share, and then finally, EXP is a publicly traded company, so there is a very robust stock award program. So when you get your first close every year, you're awarded stock. Every time you sponsor an agent, you're awarded stock. Every time you hit your cap, you're awarded stock. If you become an icon agent like I was showing you, if you were to do 20 transactions roughly past your cap, you will get awarded $16,000 in stock. And something very cool, out of each closing that you have, EXP, if you want to opt into this program, they'll take 5% of your pre-tax commission and they will sell you stock at a 10% discount. So I want you to think, the idea here again is agents live today on buy and sell commissions. Very important. This is why it's an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. So it rewards agents for production. You keep more money with each transaction as you go along, and you can get to 100% quicker with a low cap. That's number one. Number two is you get a longer term play for cash flow as agents join the company based on your recommendation, and you can accrue equity stock awards in the company as you go along. So I want you to think about, over 10 years, if you capped that $16,000, well, let's put it this way. Let's say you capped, let's put it this way, at a traditional brokerage, let's say each year you paid in $20,000, on an 80-20 or 30-70 or whatever you are. Let's say you did that for 10 years, that's $200,000. Here would be a reasonable question to ask your broker. Golly, I've done a great job for you. I'm a good cultural fit. People like me out there. I'm a great brand ambassador. I've paid $200,000 into the company and I've given you no problems. How much ownership interest can I have for my 200? Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's crickets chirping. Again, I'm not saying it's bad or wrong, but what I am saying is, in the digital brokerage space now, these revenue opportunities exist that did not exist prior. So something to consider. So here at EXP, and we're going to see this in other digital brokerages as well, You get your buy and sell commissions, you have the possibility of rev share, and you have stock awards. So I would consider this a fairly robust compensation plan. If you just want your buy and sell commissions and don't really care about rev share and stock awards, it's fine. 80-20 with a $16,000 cap, you're going to make a lot of money, just doing buy and sell commissions. But if you have this idea that you like to talk to agents and you want to start creating passive residual income, then you have that opportunity through rev share and then possibly equity ownership through the stock program. Okay. So now let's talk about business tools. In 2021, it's so important to have the right tech stack in place to be competitive. So the first thing that you get with EXP is they're going to give you two really important pieces of equipment. And I'm just going to slide this over. So this is a website. You're going to get a fully IDX-enabled website, so people will be able to, search for properties, create save searches, get listing alerts. It can be custom branded to you, and it sits on top of KV Core. KV Core is the CRM that EXP furnishes to all its real estate agents. CRM simply stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. Whatever brokerage you happen to be at, the thing I would say is an agent without a CRM is like a carpenter without a hammer. You can't really do your job without a CRM, and you certainly can't build a business. So, any CRM for the most part will do. I should say that EXP, or I should say that KV Core is a very robust CRM. So here's what's really neat. You can put all your customers' information in there. You can see when they were on the website. You can see what they were looking at. You're able to keep all of their data. You can send them reports in an automated fashion. You can communicate via text, email, video messages. You can create automated campaigns that have multiple touches, a text, then an email, then a phone call, then a voice message, right? Then a market report, then a listing alert. So what this does is it automates the touches so that you can stay in contact with a far larger group of people over time. Here's something else. When it comes to generating leads, what KV Core through EXP does, that's particularly powerful. It makes it easy to generate leads. So you can simply click a button and run a Google pay-per-click campaign. You can click a button and run a Facebook marketing campaign. You can click a button and run a social media marketing campaign for listings through Core Property Boost. You just click the button, you put some budget on it, and what happens is the seller loves you because they see the listing going through the Facebook feed, and they just love that. You'll sell that listing even quicker and for more money because you're just going to get a lot of eyeballs on it. And then number three, which is the most beautiful thing, is you're going to get a lot of people giving you their contact information because they want more information on that listing, or they're going to request showings. What's great about that is you're not going to sell them that listing, you're going to sell them something else. And that's how you can turn one transaction into two transactions. What I do like about KV Core is it makes it fairly simple to do all of that and very inexpensive. You can get these websites that EXP uses through KV Core. It'll cost you about $1,500 to set up and anywhere from $200 to $300 a month. But with EXP, in that cloud brokerage fee we talked about, that $85, this is included. You can get KV Core. KV Core would cost you directly somewhere between $200 and $400 a month, but again, it's included with the cloud brokerage fee. So it's a pretty good value, I think, and it's fairly important. Okay, I'm going to pull that away. You also get SkySlope. So again, this is a digital brokerage. So it's not like you're going to take a contract and walk it into an office, right, and give it to the nice lady at the desk. But what you are going to do is actually something better. SkySlope is your transactional management platform. You put the contract right onto SkySlope. Once it's on SkySlope, then your broker reviews it and accounting sees it. And then it's all just a button click from there. So it actually makes it really, really easy to manage purchase offers and closings. Next is EXP Enterprise. So again, in a digital brokerage, one of the keys is you want to have at your fingertips all the main stuff, okay? So what I can tell you is EXP builds out its own back office for each individual agent, which actually is quite convenient, right? So you're just looking here on the back end here. So this is all the company stuff, right? You can click here and find it. You can get your SkySlope right here. You can do in-house lead gen. It's called Make It Rain. There is Make It Rain right there. So this is a proprietary lead generation campaign that EXP will run individually for an agent, and the budgets you can put on that are about $250 a month, and they'll generate anywhere from 10 to 25 leads or more a month. You can enter EXP World here. I'm going to show you a little bit about what EXP World is. You get a Morgan Stanley account because as you have closings and earn stock, you can track the value of your stock portfolio, which is kind of exciting. I got to be honest with you, right? I'm going to kind of scroll down here. This is the whole marketing center. So you can grab all the logos, right, and signage templates from here. You can go right into the marketing center, and there are literally thousands and thousands of templates for flyers, door hangers, listing presentations, slide decks, you name it. It's all there, and it's all customizable. And what's nice about the way this is set up is it's all accessible from one single website, right? And then something else, we're going to go over this a little later too, is you can access Workplace. Workplace is where you're going to be communicating with the various departments of EXP, your broker primary among them. By the way, in here on your dashboard, right, you'll be able to go in and see, your commissions, what you've earned, your stock. You'll be able to see the progress of your closings and all that brokerage admin stuff. Okay, so really, really useful, really, really helpful. All right, so now let's talk about training. Again, in a traditional brokerage, typically they have a training center, right? You would open up a paper calendar, you would try to find a class that worked for you, you would hope that the time that class was offered, you were available, you get in your car, you drive to the brokerage, you sit in the classroom, and the class gets taught, right? Again, in a digital brokerage, there is no physical space to get to go to. So the question is, how is the training delivered, and how much training is there, and how can you consume it? So, oops, hang on a second. I've got a cool slide for that. Boom! All right, so just to give you an idea, EXP, and it's interesting, right? Not all the other brokerages feel this way, but here's something I discovered as a real estate agent coach and somebody who's very experienced with the way brokers operate is a broker really should feel proud and excited of its training. And when you look at a training calendar, right, the training calendar, if you were to look at it, it really ought to tell you what this company actually thinks about training and what it really thinks about its agents. It really is, I would say, it's how you can read the tea leaves of a brokerage. So if a brokerage has no training calendar, that's not bad or wrong, by the way, but it tells you something it tells you something about the brokerage, right? It just helps you make your decision. All right, so at EXP, you can go to expcloud.com/calendar, and it will take you right to the EXP calendar. What I'm going to do right now, just for fun, right? I'm making this video. It's on a Monday. Let's just go look at what's going on today, in training land at EXP, right? I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can see it. Yeah, so this is right what you see here. These are all the classes that are available today. So the thing that I just want to point out is you can already see that the list is robust. There's a lot, okay? Buffini's 100 Days to Greatness, right? Scripting, why and how to use scripts, how to sell 100 properties a year using YouTube, SkySlope, basic training, attracting agents through your mission statement, goal setting for agents, farming on a budget, real estate fundamentals, listings beget listings, SkySlope advanced training, real estate business planning. That's just Monday. Let's look at Tuesday. Competitive offer writing, going from dual career to top producing full-time agent. That might be a really important class for those of you, that are wanting to make the jump from a W-2 job into a full-time real estate agent career. Lead generation workshop, prospecting and lead generation, team building with KV Core. Look at this, REO certification series, all about listing and marketing, brand and empower yourself with video, the secrets behind lead generation, and so on. So here's the thing, just to, again, another takeaway here, I think, is what's interesting about the way EXP has this set up is you can access this training live. So you can go live into EXP World, which is a true digital environment that you go in as an avatar, and we're going to look at that in a minute. Or you can, many of these classes have a replay. So if you miss the actual live class, you can get a replay. If you miss the class and you don't want to watch the replay, most of these classes are in a very regular rotation. So it's not like it goes once and then you never see it again. If you miss it this week, it's likely going to come back next week or the week after. Here's something else that's interesting to note about EXP, which is these are essentially national level trainings. So you will have dozens and hundreds of realtors in these classes from all over the country, and the person in the front of the room teaching the class is a nationally recognized content expert on the subject matter. So what this really does is it gives the agent access to more training, gives them more ways to consume the training, and the training level is really, I think, a step up because of who's doing the training. So really, really good stuff there, I think. If you are a new agent, okay, and this is kind of important, at EXP there is a mentor program. So you'll be assigned a mentor. This is an expert real estate agent that lives and practices right in your geographic area, and their job is to hold your hand through your first 3 transactions. So they're going to be doing things like allowing you to shadow them on appointments. They're going to help you understand the contracts to use, how to negotiate, how to understand your market, do a CMA, how to use your MLS, and a lot of one-on-one coaching. They're that go-to person for you that's really going to help you get your real estate career kicked off, just on the fundamentals. But in addition to that, you're going to be an EXP Mentor University. This is really important. So this is a 10-track learning course that hits the fundamentals of how to be a real estate agent. So things like how to work with buyers and sellers, how to use KV Core, how to use SkySlope, how to navigate EXP World, really important, setting up a real estate business, how to run marketing campaigns, and so on. So the idea is, if you're a new agent, not only do you have your mentor assigned on day 1, but your websites and your CRM are all active, and you have access to the general training, which is almost 80 hours every single week, okay? So again, a digital brokerage, if it's well designed, right, and well executed, ought to furnish a lot of training, and I would say generally EXP does tick the box there. Okay, let's talk about agent support. Now this is a big one, right, because there is no office to go to, right? It's not like you're going to drive to the office and I'm going to talk to Sally who sits at the front desk, and I'm going to go and find Fred who works in the accounting office, and oh, there's Alan the brokerage, I'm going to chat with him for a minute. It doesn't really work that way. In this new post-COVID age, we do it all digitally. But there's some really big advantages to that. Okay, so at EXP, the way they've configured it, there are 2 main platforms, okay, that allow agents to interact with other agents and all brokerage staff in a fairly low friction sort of way. There's EXP World and Workplace. I'm going to give you a little tour of each of these. So bear with me. So here's the first thing. So you can see my screen here. I'm gonna actually right in front of you sign in to EXP World. Okay. And I'm going to kind of walk around as myself. And I think this will give you an idea. Come on, EXP World, you can do it. All right. So I'm just going to move forward. So, folks, that's me. That's my avatar. And what you're looking at here is this is the EXP campus. So again, in this amazing age now, this is the virtual campus of EXP. And all of the brokerage services are all contained in this campus. Everybody that you need to talk to, everybody that you need help from with a question, right? You are going to find them here. So let's start here. If you want to talk to your broker, here's a way that you would access them. You would go to the broker staterooms. I'm clicking on here. Look at this. So here's the map. Let's say you're an agent from California. You go into EXP World. You go to the broker stateroom. You click on it. I've clicked on it, and boom, I am now in the office here at EXP, and the woman in front of me is the front desk lady. So this is where you would take a number, you would fill out a form, and then one of these rooms that you see here along the side, you would meet with your broker right there. Now, let's just say, and just for fun, just to give you an idea, I'm going to go back to broker staterooms. I'm going to go to New York, so let's go to the other coast. So if you go into the New York stateroom, it looks very similar, doesn't it, right? And in most of these rooms, you can go up, see, look at this here, the hours of operation, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. You take a number and kaboom, right? Now I'm going to leave the wait list so nobody waits on me, right? Very, very simple. So I want you to think about something. I haven't left my desk, and I've been to the broker office in California, and now I'm across the country in the broker office in New York. Kind of cool, right? Now, let's say you've got an accounting question, right? You know, something up with your commission. You can go right to accounting support. Watch this. There you are. I am now in the accounting department. I want to talk to somebody, and guess what you do? Boom, take a number. I'm the second in line. Just hang out here. In my experience, you know, I've rarely waited more than 6 or 7 minutes. And these folks will answer all of your questions. Kaboom, right? Let's go to let's go to agent. Look at this. So let's go to agent solutions. So sometimes as agents, we have questions and we're not sure who to talk to. So you can go right to the Agent Solution Center. Boom, there I am. And if you notice, see these nice ladies right there? They're here to answer questions, and I can chat with them. Actually, hang on a second. Hey, you guys, how you doing? Oop. You know what? I think because my mic is being used, I can't hear you. So you guys get the idea. All right, so now let's go to the tech outpost. This is kind of neat, actually. You may have tech problems with your computer or anything. What is really neat about the tech outpost is it's tech support. I go there, boom, I take a number, I get in line. I've had these guys remote into my computer and fix it while I was sitting there. Kind of neat, I got to be honest with you. Oop. Hey Dan, how are you? Listen, man, you know what? My mic's in use on the other side. Thanks for you've solved my problem. So just by the sheer power of your presence, my friend, I'm going to take off here. So you have a great rest of your day. Kaboom. All right, so I'm leaving the tech outpost, and actually what I did was, if you notice, I went right to one of the education theaters. So now I'm in the education theater, right? There are multiple rooms like this that you can access for all of the various training that we saw. And now I'm going to go back to the welcome area. And you're back, just like that. So again, this is the EXP world. What is interesting about EXP world is it really begins to feel like in-person meetings with folks. You don't have to text them or direct message them and wait for them to get back to you. You can physically go into this digital world, take a number, and then meet face-to-face with folks in these various departments. So it is really cool that way. All right, now listen, that's not the only way. EXP also has what they call EXP, or I should say Workplace. Let me get to Workplace here. So you probably recognize this format. It's a Facebook product. Workplace is used by a lot of companies. Most of the digital brokerages are going to use Workplace. And the thing I want you just to know is this is where you're going to be you can interact with agents, brokers, and all of the support staff. And in EXP, there's over 400 people who show up to work every single day in all of these various departments. So as an example, I want to show you something. This is the general news feed for EXP as the company. But then in my case, because I'm in New York, this is the New York group, which is where I interact with all of the agents in New York. I can send direct messages to my broker. I can call her through video chat, a direct message, text message, or a straight up phone call. And whenever you have questions, what's very interesting here is you can post these questions and people will respond. Many times I've been looking for documents. I'll say, hey, do you know where this disclosure is? And I'll get 5 people who say, hey, look over here. Or they'll even send me a link, which is really kind of neat. Also, something to notice, over here on the left side, there are big discussion groups about how to use KV Core. So you'll get a lot of best practices on using tech. Something here, this Express Offers community, this is really interesting. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but Express Offers is a program that EXP allows agents to give sellers cash offers, which helps you get listings. And there's a very robust community of people who talk all the time about best practices and how to use that for marketing and customer attraction services. And there really is no end to the groups. So I want you to think about something. I'm just going to go back here. The way EXP has done this is, in most cases with other digital brokerages, it's like Zoom calls, texting, and phone calls, or email. It's not bad, or a ticketing system. It's not bad, but with EXP, I have found it to be far more robust, especially with the presence of EXP World. So this is how, in a digital environment, you can stay far more connected. And in my experience, once you get really good at this, and you will quickly, the answers that you're always looking for as an agent, you get them really fast. And speed in our business, as you might imagine, is important. All right, so let's talk about the company, and we're almost done here. Couple things to know. EXP obviously is public, traded on the NASDAQ. Right now, it has 50,000 agents, and it's in 13 countries. One of the challenges with digital brokerages right now is there's not a lot of identity for them in your market. Of the main 3 digital brokerages, and I'm doing a deep dive on all of them, EXP right now is the largest and has probably the most widely recognized brand identity among the 3. And I would say that right now, brand identity is helpful when you're trying to win a listing or attract a buyer. Not to mention, in the rev share possibilities of EXP, imagine, if you know people in Canada or Mexico or various other countries that we're either in or going to, the possibilities for growing your downline become quite large. A couple things to see here. If we wanted to get a sense of just the size of EXP Realty when it comes to independent brokerages, of the 500 largest in the US, right, for closed transactions in 2020, you can see that EXP is number 3, right? So just Realty and Home Services of America are larger. So this is Real Trends ranking them as number 3. Something else that's interesting, of the top 50 firms, okay, of the top 50 firms by side count, these are the firms that had the greatest growth in closed transactions from 2019 to 2020, right? There's Redfin, there's Compass, but look, there's EXP Realty. I point this out because we all know what happened in 2020. We had the COVID lockdown, right? And what was interesting about digital brokerages and EXP in particular is agents, we saw a lot of agents go, man, I got to conduct this business and I got to conduct it untethered to a physical brokerage office location. So I think this is one of the drivers for EXP, which is really interesting. So what this is a good indicator of is, even though the brokers you can see here are fairly traditional, EXP in terms of growth has the most steep growth trajectory, and it's digital. So it kind of gives you an indication of where I think this industry is going to go. Some other interesting things about EXP that I think are important. You have healthcare through EXP, Clearwater Healthcare and Benefits, a very robust health benefits provider. So if you don't have healthcare, they're going to provide really good options for you. There's something called express offers. EXP essentially has investors in most states of the United States. So I want you to think about something. You can sit in front of a seller and say, Mr. Seller, if you'd like, I can bring you a cash offer for your house. Would you like to see what that might look like? If they say yes, you can bring them a cash offer. So this gives EXP's trying to give agents a greater ability to compete with iBuyers. So imagine, a digital brokerage where you could, have a nice capping model. You could have rev share. You can earn stock, but then you also have the ability to go out and make cash offers to attract sellers, which is kind of cool. Here's the thing, right? And I'll leave you with this. Just because EXP, what's interesting, just because EXP is digital first, doesn't mean they're digital only. If you want an office space, remember that cloud brokerage fee we were talking about? All EXP agents have a membership to Regus Spaces. So if you were to go to regus.com and put in your zip code or the town you work in, you will get a list of all of the office space that you have access to for free. Every real estate agent at EXP can walk right into a Regus and use any of the space there, any of the common area space. And these spaces are all Class A space. There's a full-time receptionist on duty. There are refreshments. There are conference rooms that you can use. There's full copy, fax, scan, copy services. So if you're the kind that does need an office, the offices do exist. Or if you just want to meet clients in a professional space, then Regus is the way to do that. So EXP does actually give you an option to be in an office. So that is the 30,000 foot speed of sound flyby on EXP. We went over the compensation plan, the biz tools, training, agent support, and company. I think, at least based on these 5 components, it is a viable option. If you're thinking that a digital company might be the right approach for you. Hope you found that helpful. I look forward to seeing you around out there.